Hi, I'm Alexandra Campbell and I write the Middlesized Garden. It's for people whose gardens are larger than a courtyard but smaller than an acre. It's for people who want gorgeous gardens but don't want to spend too much time or money on them. And it's for people who have ordinary gardens and they just like them to be a bit extraordinary. So, the Middlesized Garden. Well, it's any garden that's larger than a courtyard or smaller than an acre. And I reckon that's the sort of garden most of us have got. And the reason why that's special is that professional gardeners tend to have really quite big gardens and they've got professional expertise. We, most of us here in the Middlesized World, aren't professional gardeners. We've got other jobs to do and we want our gardens to look gorgeous. But on the other hand, we can't spend all our time and money on them. We've got to work, we've got to earn money, we've often got children, and we want to know quick and easy ways of doing things. But the Middlesized Garden's always about a bit more than just tips, because I think a Middlesized Garden's about friendship as well. I talk about my garden and I talk about friends' gardens, and friends come to this garden and they give me advice and tips and plants, and I go to their gardens, and I think gardening is a great part of what makes a community come together. So friendship and community gardens also comes into the Middlesized Garden quite a bit. For example, I've got a friend called Charlotte Rowe who's a top garden designer, and she's done her 12 tips for a really great urban garden. But then at the opposite end of the spectrum is a friend of mine called Debs who got a rented house and garden, and it had been completely overgrown, and of course being rented she didn't want to spend much money on it. And she's shown us exactly how she brought this garden back to life just by clearing things away. There's country gardens I talk about, friends who've got completely different challenges. I talk about my garden here. It's a town garden, it's a walled garden. It's quite easy because we don't have sort of moles and foxes, but it's still bigger than a normal town garden, so it does require a bit more effort, and it could cost a lot if I wasn't really careful. When we clear away in the winter, I try to make sure we leave enough habitat for the birds. I try to make sure that the ponds, or they're just mini ponds, are filled up. And so I've sort of got a oak barrel pond, I've got an upturned dustbin lid pond, I've got a couple of other little water sources around the garden. Recycling's a big part of Middlesized gardening, I think. I still use my grandmother's watering can and I love it. And we've got pots all around the garden that maybe my mother's had or friends have given me. Everything's a bit mismatched, but I think it gives a garden a sense of belonging, and so recycling's another thing that we cover quite a lot. When I choose plants, I really want the pollinating insects and the bees to come, and we've got this lavender in the middle of the garden and I've deliberately chosen it in a big block, and just at the moment it's simply humming with life. It's got bees, several kinds of bees and butterflies, and that really makes me so happy. And actually it's quite easy in an ordinary garden just to make some plant choices that are aimed at making things better for wildlife, and if we all did that it would really help bees and birds to survive. So join us on the Middlesized Garden if your garden is larger than a courtyard but smaller than an acre and you'd love it to look gorgeous without spending too much time or money on it. Thank you.